Cool. We're recording. Are you going to say anything, Anna?
Oh, hi, you guys. So, Paul, just let me just because you're recording. Um, so we're here today with Paul, and Paul is a love yourself activist and honestly an amazing human. And so I had the pleasure of working with Paul. Um, that was a year ago now, I think, or maybe 2 years ago, for a project that I had in mind, just about trying to help people see what others see in us. A lot of times we have a tendency to think ill of ourselves or have these bad thoughts, but other people don't see that, and it's really just in our head. And so I had Paul write on Kayla, who was a part of this project, to just how he sees her as a person, and then had her write on him how she sees him. And they really didn't really know each other too well prior to this. They had worked together, but it was not like they had this amazing relationship, which was great because it allowed them to really just kind of understand how we are with most people. Most people don't know us and they don't know the true us, but even the ones that know the true us, like Dr. Seuss always says, the ones who mind don't matter and the ones who matter don't mind. And the ones who actually love us and know us, they love us with all of our flaws, with everything and every being of who we are. And so, yeah, it was just kind of great to have. To see this unfold. And since then, I've been following Paul, and Paul's done, I mean, he has, this is what he does, is help people just learn to love themselves. And so I wanted to invite him on to just help you guys um, ask those questions that you need to ask yourself, but also have him help you get to a point of just really learning to love yourself more, and the difference between self-care and self-love, and what the difference between two of those are. Because a lot of times people think that self-care is all you need to do for self-love. So, Paul, take it off.
Thanks for that wonderful introduction. It means so
Yeah.
much to me to be welcomed into your community and to speak on things that really excite me. So, just to dig a little bit deeper into who I am, as Anna said, I'm a self-love coach and you do you activist, and it's my number one priority to empower and inspire humanity to love unconditionally. And I truly believe that that starts within each of us, right? You can't love yourself unless you can't love somebody else unless you love yourself
Mm-hmm.
first. And this is a really important thing that a lot of us are aware of, but unsure of what to do and how to do that. So it's become my mission in life to use all of the tools that I have in my tool belt to pass them along to you and empower you to be the best version of you. It's my belief that a lot of people say self-love is selfish, especially when we're on a self-love journey and partners, close friends, and family, they feel forgotten by us because we say, I've got to do me right now. I'm going to put you on the back burner. And so a lot of us get these comments from friends and family and partners being like, hey, you're being really selfish right now. And the reality is that to combat that, I always like to challenge that narrative, because it's not selfish to love yourself. What's selfish is to hide yourself. And if
Mm.
you don't love yourself enough to shine your light, what you're actually doing is a disservice. You are not sharing who you are truly meant to be. We were all put on this planet for a very special, particular reason.
Mm-hmm.
And if you are not allowing yourself to use your gifts and be the light that you were meant to be, you were born to be, then that is the true selfish act. And this is a real reframe that a lot of people just don't understand and aren't willing to embrace within themselves.
Yeah. I think that that's, I mean, like, honestly, that's so important. And I think it is important because I know I've heard even people say, with boudoir, or even just as an educator of boudoirs, people saying just like what you said, like, oh, well, loving yourself or doing that is really just thinking about yourself and it's selfish. And even with having boudoir ego called ego. A lot of people look at ego as a negative term. And I'm like, it's not. So I really like what you're saying with that, Paul. And I think that that's something so important for people to dig down into. How do you feel that, like, the difference between caring for yourself and doing things like for you to make you feel good? How do you feel that that correlates with part of loving yourself? And do you feel that there is a good correlation between the two, like going and getting a massage for yourself? Is that something, do you feel like is needed? Do you think that that is a small part of self-love?
Hmm. Yeah, so this is a great question because I find that a lot of my clients who come to me are in a massive self-care overwhelm. They are doing far too much self-care and not enough self-love. And here's the reality, self-love and self-care are two separate things. They get confused a lot. The one thing that I know to be true is that one cannot happen without the other.
Mm,
So when we think about the words self-love and self-care, so self-love is a mental, it's an emotional act. It's something we do on the inside. Self-care is a physical act, something we do on the outside.
mm,
Now, what we run into is, we're going out, we're getting our hair done, or at least we used to be able to go out and get our hair done. We get our nails done. We go for the massages, go on the shopping sprees, buying ourselves material things. And the entire time we'd be thinking, oh, I'm not worthy of this, or there's something I should be doing that's differently, or I don't actually have the money to do this. What am I doing? I'm a fraud going and spending time, or I should be working instead of getting my nails done. And this is when self-care becomes a detriment to your journey, because what you're basically telling yourself is taking care of yourself and feeling good is not right. You're telling yourself by inflicting shame with I
mm,
should be doing something differently. You're telling yourself that it is not a priority, and by doing it you're doing something wrong. So this is like really the first step in this journey. It's admitting that I've been working really hard to take care of my body, like going to the gym or eating healthier or whatever it might be that makes you feel good, right? This is an individual journey. And all the while you have negative thoughts about yourself, or you're doing it for someone else.
mm.
And this is the first step in reframing the self-love journey, because it really is and has to be just for you. If you're
Right.
doing it to prove someone wrong, or you're doing it because people told you that you aren't worthy, it's eventually not going to feel good. It might feel exciting at the beginning. And my background is in fitness and nutrition and personal training. And really, when I stepped out of that world and fully into self-love, it was because I found so many people were coming to me and saying, Paul, I just need to lose a little more weight and the guy will like me, or I'll get the job of my dreams, or my family will finally like support me, or so many other reasons why. And I realized at that moment that we all look to do things for external validation.
Mm.
We're unable to just do it for ourselves, right? Because we've been conditioned to believe that the people in our life and their opinion of us matters more than how we feel about ourselves.
Mm. Yeah. So I actually hear that quite a bit. Is it's 10 more pounds and then I'm ready for a session. 10 more pounds and I'm ready to do this. And sometimes the thought process is a little different because with boudoir, it's 10 more pounds and they're ready to do this session for themselves. A lot of times people do come to me and it is a gift for themselves. Maybe it's going to be extra for a spouse, but they know deep down that it's something for themselves already. But that mentality that even giving themselves permission to do this before that 10 more pounds is kind of like there's this balance in between where it's like, you don't have to lose 10 pounds to do this for yourself. Like, you don't need to get to a certain size, a certain weight, or reach those certain goals. Which that's just a small portion of what I see, kind of what you were saying, as far as just, making excuses for not allowing yourself to fully enjoy something for you,
Mm-hmm.
or trying to give yourself permission or an excuse to enjoy something when you shouldn't have to give yourself an excuse to enjoy you.
Mhm.
Like that should be natural. It should be, and it's not natural because we're conditioned and groomed not to feel that it's natural. um, Tell me a little bit, Paul, because I know we discussed this prior, but so she hasn't heard this, and I know people who will watch later haven't heard this. Tell me a little bit about why you, or what brought you into feeling this. I know you kind of mentioned that you previously were a fitness coach, but what really was the moment that triggered that you were like, wow, you know what? I need this for me, and I really want to do this for other people.
Yeah, so my self-love journey has been over 10 years in the making. For the first 25 years of my life, I was like the epitome of a people pleaser. You could look in the dictionary and find a cute little picture of me next to the words people pleaser. I was saying yes to everyone around me and no to myself. And I don't know if you're listening to this and you can relate to this concept of saying yes when you mean no and no when you mean yes, because you want to avoid conflict and you want to make sure that everyone else around you is happy. And I
Mm-hmm.
remember thinking this, oh, I don't deserve happiness. I will receive happiness by living vicariously through the people that I make happy, right? So I was hoping that someone else's happiness would rub off on me. Once again, this is a quick fix and it's not something that is long term. So throughout my life, I at some point made a decision that my life wasn't going to be for me. It was going to be for everyone else. It was going to be for making people feel more comfortable, making people happier, making people feel like they're worthy. And I lost myself in that journey because I was silencing a lot of the pieces of me that are what make me me, right? What we talked about at the beginning. I was completely doing the opposite of what I tell all of my clients to do. And the catalyst for this was at the time I was living in New York City and I had a great job, had a great relationship. Like if you looked on paper, everything was perfect. And when we started boiling down to it, the job was I just didn't feel creatively fulfilled. I didn't feel valued. I felt like how I didn't see a future in it. I was just climbing the corporate ladder and I kept on hitting this glass ceiling and then moving to a new place and then hitting the glass ceiling again. And there was no way that I could get through that. And this relationship, although on paper looked beautiful, was emotionally abusive and didn't make me feel good inside about who I was. And I didn't feel supported. So it was kind of like this big event where I left the relationship, I left the job, and I ended up just saying, I got to live my life for me. And I didn't even know what that meant. I didn't even know what I wanted. And this is where a lot of us come into it's like this crossroads because it's so much easier to continue living in that space of, oh, I don't know what I want. So I'm just going to continue doing what maybe my parents or my friends, family, coworkers, peers tell me to do, or what I think I'm supposed to do via mainstream media and Instagram, social media, all that stuff. So we're always looking for answers outside of ourselves. And this was the real catalyst for me, is realizing that I had all the answers within. And for a lot of us, it's really scary. It's really scary to admit that for X amount of years, you've been living for someone else, period, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it was like me coming to terms with how I was living for my parents and how I was living for my brother and sister and my peers and my bosses and teachers, and looking in the mirror and being like, wow, none of that makes you happy. So what's the freaking point?
Mm.
And it's like, so a lot of my clients come to me at that time where they're looking in the mirror and like, it kind of looks like the mirror's foggy. It's like, I don't recognize the person staring back at me.
Hmm.
Regardless of whether you have love for like the way your body looks or the way you feel just confidently standing there and looking at yourself in the eyes. Like a lot of people can't even look at themselves in the eyes because
Hmm.
we all know inherently if we're honoring ourselves, our truth. And that's what really ignited this passion. Of course, I took like the ups and downs and all around, moved back in with my parents when I was nearly 30 and had to suffer through my own internalized guilt and shame around being a failure And it wasn't any of that. It was my journey. And if I hadn't gone through that, I wouldn't have been, and I'm not here to be sharing this message and having all of the experiences to relate to so many different individuals.
And now you're married and
Now
have an
I'm married.
amazing supportive partner,
Yes, he is
and
so supportive.
that's great. And so it's exciting. I do follow Paul on Instagram, and like, you just make me so happy every time I see you, just because you're so happy. And it's like, you have like these cups, and if you don't fill your own cup, you don't have enough to give to other people. So I feel like it's like one of the things that draws me to you is just that I feel like your cup is always, it's full. Like you have a full cup, and you're, so because of that, you're able to pour it into people, which is why, like, when I watch you and stuff, I just am like, oh, it's so exciting. And I feel like that is one of the things that I notice when I go to another educator's page, or someone who's talking about self-love, or someone who's talking about body positivity. It's almost like, even if they're speaking it, sometimes you just can't feel it. And I feel like sometimes, I mean, sometimes that could be a variety of things, loss of connection between whatever they're teaching, but sometimes it's also just a lack of like feeling themselves first before they're able to actually put it out there. So I have to give you a little applause, because I think you're really good at filling your cup. And that's so important, to fill your own cup before you can actually help fill other people's cup. So you have a workshop coming up in August. You have a class that you're going to be going through. What are these steps and your process, or how does all of this work? And do you set goals with each individual? Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, so what I love about my programming is that it's super customizable for anyone who's coming into it. And really, what's most important for me is to emphasize that there's no one special way to love yourself, right? The definition of self-love, if we take the word self and we take the word love and we pull them apart, the word self is the individual. Love is devotion. So self-love is getting devoted to your individuality. So for me, I have identified these 5 pillars in a journey to self-love. And the rest is really up to the student, the person who says, I want to look outside of myself for these answers to then come within. So over the course of my programming, what we do is you go in and you set your own goals, and then we have a Facebook community that you get to share your goals with. And of course, I'm there supporting you, cheering you on, rooting for you. And you get to set your own goals, because the thing about self-love, and what I found with other people who do these types of work, because, self-love coaching has become a thing. And when I first started doing this, I didn't know of any other self-love coaches, and now there are quite a few. And the thing that coaches forget is that it's not our job, or at least this is my personal belief, it's not our job to condition the person to need us.
Hmm.
My job is to give you this array of tools and say, I'm here to support you. I created this roadmap, this exact process for you, and I want you to find your own way through it. And I will be here to pick you up when you fall. Listen, I've helped over 200 people through this program, and every single person who goes through it, believe it or not, it's like clockwork. I know where the struggles are going to be because I've lived them. So when you join my program, you get access to my Self-Love Success Path, which is a 5 module course. It's a self-guided course. Within the Self-Love Success Path, I take you through those 5 pillars that I have pinpointed as the reasons and the things that we must do before we can love ourselves.
Hmm.
The first step is self-discovery. And this is the priority. It has to be the first thing. It's also one of the most challenging pieces, because first and foremost, you're new in this program. You're like, I'm doing it. I'm making my life the one that I've always wanted. And then the next step is you get to discover who you really are. So what I'm asking you to do is like look in the mirror and figure out all the things that you're doing that aren't exciting you, and find the things that are. And then from there, we step into self-awareness, because once you discover who you are, you get to be aware of not only when you are shining in that light, but also when you are hiding.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of us play small, a lot of us hide. So this is an opportunity to really acknowledge the awareness that it takes to fully step into being unapologetically you, which then leads us to self-acceptance. You're standing, accepting who you are as the individual. I love myself for me. This is me. My name's Paul, and I am unapologetically me. I accept that. If you are struggling with accepting me, that's on you. It's not on me. And this
Right.
is a really hard message for a lot of us to receive. And
Mm-hmm.
then the next piece of the puzzle is self-expression. We get to learn how to express who we are as true individuals, what we need from ourselves, and also what we need from others. And this is one of my favorite modules, because I teach the really, really impactful communication skills to communicate with yourself, and also to communicate with close friends and family, and even people on the internet, how to communicate what self-love is for you and what you truly need. So this is about boundaries. This is about acknowledging that, yes, you may have changed and it's all for the better, all this magical stuff. Then the final piece is self-love. This is really the end of the self-love success path, but really also the beginning. When you step into the self-love, I ask you to look at what you've done already and look at what's ahead of you. So within this module, as school as it sounds, we're just looking back at all of our homework and finding out what worked best for us. This is really where you get to define your devotion to your individuality. Because for some people, the journaling prompts that I offer are going to be the most impactful parts. For others, this concept of just stepping into self-love in itself is really just what they have to resonate with. Maybe they enjoy the meditations that are along with the course. So this is really just a culmination of my 10 years of loving myself and creating a program that has literally changed so many people's lives. So to basically like circle back to your question about customization and how it works, um, the course is available freestanding alone by itself. You can go through it. You get access to my Self-Love is the Best Medicine Facebook group, where everyone who's gone through the program and beyond is. So it's an alumni and it's a current journey. And then if you want some more one-on-one support, you can apply to work with me in conjunction with the Self-Love Success Path, which includes, the one-on-one Voxer support, which is a text message and voice message app, along with some group calls once a week where we are just chatting, and I'm coaching you and supporting you through, those one-on-one conversations, which are really beautiful. So I like to leave it up to the human, get real with yourself. What do you actually need? Do you need the one-on-one individualized support, or can you do this alone?
Mm-hmm.
And witness yourself, maybe talking yourself out of the thing you really want, or maybe giving yourself a little less permission to actually do it on your own. There's no right or wrong way to love yourself. And that's the thing. And then finally, on top of that, I am hosting a 5-day challenge that's starting on Monday. And this is going to be taking you through mini um, day workshops of each of those 5 pillars. And this is a great way if you're just like, oh, who is this guy? I don't know. Like, I don't really know, like, what's tangible. Like, does he actually do stuff? Like, yeah, I trust Anna, but I don't know if I trust Paul yet. This is a great way to learn about what I do and witness the change that can happen in just 5 days of stepping into this. So um, I actually had closed registration yesterday on Friday, but I've decided to reopen it just for your group, Anna.
Mm-hmm.
I'm also offering $200 off this 5-day experience. So it's only
That's awesome.
$97 to finally learn how to love yourself and witness the change that you can make in just 5 days, which believe it or not, a lot of these things, like once you open your eyes to it, it's like once you wake up, you can't go back to sleep. And that's what I like to think about the stuff that we do inside my programming and this challenge in particular.
Yeah, I think that's awesome. Zoshi, you're the only one right here listening live. Do you have any questions in regards to self-love, in regards to what Paul teaches, um, or even just questions for Paul in general? Because he is fabulous.
And I'm here.
I can't really think of any questions right now. I wasn't very prepared.
No, it's okay. Neither was I.
I'm just like listening. So like, okay, I like this.
Yeah, yeah. So, Paul, your 5-day program is like a mini version of your full program. That's what you
Yeah.
were saying.
Hmm.
And with if someone wanted to sign up for the 5-day program, when does that start?
So
What's
the
the start
program
date?
starts on Monday, the 27th.
Okay.
However, and I will be recording it live. Now, you
Okay.
get lifetime access to the 5 calls, the private Facebook community just for this particular challenge, and the workbook. So I also have a 3 meditation bundle as a bonus and my self-forgiveness workshop as well. So there's over $1,000 worth of value for $97, which kind of blows my mind. I've never offered anything this low of a price
I know.
point.
I'm like, dude, sign me. I'm signing up for this. So I don't
Okay.
know about you, but I am
Well,
just because why not?
I just dropped the link. If you visit that link,
Yes.
paulf.love/bonus, you can take advantage of that offer. Unfortunately, I'm only able to keep the $200 off through the weekend. So
Mhm.
it's kind of a hop on it. After that, it will be $297. And like I said, if you get in this weekend, then you'll get to join us live for the calls, which means that you can ask questions and be a part of, it on a deeper level.
Yeah, I think that's awesome. I think it's great. I'm definitely going to be resharing this video in my group so people can try to get in. Um, I know that's an amazing deal. And honestly, I think that self love, besides what I do, which is like a small band aid to actually helping people compared to the coaching, I feel like it's a constant thing that you work on, and there's always something I feel like like reminders that you need. Is that kind of like what your Vox, the daily videos, is that kind of like what that is like a daily reminder of, hey.
Yeah, so within the challenge, every day I'm going to be going live for around 60 minutes on Zoom. I will be recording it. And each day we are going over one of the 5 pillars.
Mhm.
And I've created a workbook to go along with this work. So I'm really going to help you dig deep into self-discovery, self-awareness, self-acceptance, self-expression, and self-love, finding out what pieces of the puzzle are you're struggling with. And
Yeah.
on the same time, you have that support. We're focusing primarily on confidence over the next 5 days because what I find is confidence and self-love go hand in hand. So why is it that you are unwilling to show up confidently and ask for the things that you want? Why
Mm.
is it that you have this limiting belief that you aren't worthy of showing up and getting the raise or
Mm.
asking for support from your partner to watch the kids while you take a hot shower for 5 minutes, or asking your friends and family to acknowledge that you want to go by different pronouns, right? So like these are all different things that along our journey as individuals we get to be conscious of, and confidently saying, this is me, I love myself unconditionally, is not only going to change your life, but it's going to change all the people's lives around you as well. So confidence, self-love, self-acceptance, we're going to work on just have a lot of fun. I always have a dance party at the beginning of all of my lives because it's so important to get back into our body and feel the magic and what moving, even if it's just like a little like shoulder shimmy while you watch me dance like a madman, that it's really, really important, and it's really overlooked that we have the stigma around like movement having to look a certain way, dance having to look a certain way, and that's not true.
Mm.
How we move our bodies is specific to us, and I think that that's a really powerful message that Boudoir does. And for me, partnering with you, Anna, has like that changed my life.
Mm. Thank you.
And it's just really an honor to be able to sit here with you and share my message and also support your community as well.
Well, I feel honored to have you, because I do think that you are amazing. And like I said, I'm always like on the back burner, so I don't know. Like I'll share things, and you probably see that, but I really do truly like my heart just is joyful when I see you online, and it's I see what you're doing, and I'm able to see the responses that you share and stuff, and it's just such a beautiful thing to see people come into themselves. And because it does take a lot of work, it really does. And I know it's taken me tons of work, and it is something I still work on constantly, but it's just, I feel like that's something that people sometimes feel is just a light switch, like, oh, I just love myself and I have to do this, but they don't have any guidance to it. And that's where I feel like it's nice that you come in, because you're able to give people guidance to actually help them with that and give them steps to help them overcome. You see my dog's paws.
I love it. Stretching.
She's like, steps to overcome, you know, their own personal hurt, but also just the stuff that they're weighing on them from things that they've been told. And that's, you know, like where I go with people is like surface and stops. So it's nice to be able to say, hey, you know what, let me send people this way, because this is like something that you have to kind of grind into and get into those nitty gritty heart feels that like we don't always want to open. And so I really do appreciate that you take that on. I think it's like honestly, it's a lot to take on to help people, and it says a lot about who you are as a person and where you are also, just in your own personal life, that you're willing to take on those hurdles is what it is. And so yeah, so I really am honored to have you on here, and that you took time outside. And I'm also, you guys, like $97, right? I think that I just paid for it. So I think it was 97. I literally just signed up. But that is such a deal. And I'm going to share this. And honestly, like, I can't even like rant about how amazing that is that you're still offering it this weekend, because that's a really awesome deal for everything that you're giving with this.
Well,
You're an awesome person for that.
thank you. It's definitely it fills me up to help others, and that's how my cup can stay full, knowing that by showing up for others, I am in my true aligned purpose and passion. And that's a true expression of self-love for me. It's being able to
Yay.
contribute that messaging to the world.
Yay. Thank you. Thank you for being on here. And Zoshi, thank you for joining us. And yeah, was that your hand raised? I was like, do you have a question? I see a hand. I was like, wait.
She's like, bye.
Wait, did you raise your hand? Yeah. So, um, any last words? I mean, I'm good.
Last words. If you are watching this and you're listening to this message, it is for you and you alone. If there is something that triggered you or something I said that made you go, I don't like that, give yourself permission to look a little bit deeper into that, because the resistance that we have towards messages that the universe puts basically in our laps is really are really the things that we get to look at closely that are going to make our lives happier, healthier, and more abundant.
Awesome.
Mm.
Yay. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
All right, you guys.
Bye.
Bye.